Mangwanani Mwalelepo Fukenjani Kreklas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your portal into Africa's potent stories. Today we bring you a powerful lineup. Simone Gbagbo's surprising clearance to contest Ivory Coast's high-stakes election. Ugandans rallying behind ICC proceedings against fugitive rebel leader Joseph Kony. And Kenya reeling from the shocking assassination of lawyer Mathew Kyalo Mbobu. We also track Congo's Ebola lockdowns and South African schools leading a bold fight against childhood obesity. Catch us on DStv 285, GOtv 251up2.com and NTV Africa on YouTube. All this plus our South Africa report with Arrie Hougaard. Do keep in mind that currently there is a wonderful celebration as ShopRite is turning 35 and they want to celebrate with you. Have a look at the details just below and see how you can stand a chance to win a 3,500 Namibian dollar voucher. 7 winners every single week for the entire month. My name is Ashwin Berry. This is Africa Good Morning. Top stories shortly.
Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Riza Quayo.
Let's get into our top stories. Ivory Coast's political landscape has been shaken after the Constitutional Council unexpectedly cleared former First Lady Simone Gbagbo, 76, to contest next month's presidential election. Her approval puts her among 5 candidates, including President Alassane Ouattara, 83, who has led since 2011. Former President Laurent Gbagbo, Simone's ex-husband, along with ex-Prime Minister Pascal Affi N'Guessan and ex-Credit Suisse CEO Tijane Tiama, were barred from running, raising concerns over the credibility of the October poll. Tiam blasted his disqualification as democratic vandalism, accusing Ouattara of orchestrating a sham election. Simone's candidacy carries symbolic weight in a nation where women hold only 30% of parliamentary seats. Once dubbed the Iron Lady, she returns to the political stage after a 20-year prison sentence, amnesty, and years rebuilding her base following a split from the Ivorian Popular Front. With 8.7 million voters and fears of unrest growing, Simone's campaign slogan promising a sovereign, dignified and prosperous Africa has ignited debates over her ability to reshape Ivory Coast's leadership narrative. Moving on. Ugandans are expressing strong support as the International Criminal Court begins its first ever in absentia hearing against Lord's Resistance Army leader Joseph Kony, accused of atrocities that terrorized northern Uganda for decades. Facing 39 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity, Kony remains at large while prosecutors present evidence alleging the LRA's brutal tactics, including child soldiers, civilian mutilations, and enslavement of women. Survivors see the proceedings as vital despite frustration over delays. Lawyer Okello Herbert described victims as directly affected and invested, while veteran peace negotiator Betty Bigombe called the process long overdue. Kony rose to infamy in the 1980s and became globally known after a 2012 viral video highlighted his crimes. While the hearing is not at trial, judges will decide whether charges should be confirmed. Kony's counsel argues the process violates his fair trial rights. Security experts warn the LRA remains a lingering threat despite its reduced power. The ICC proceedings are closely watched in Uganda, symbolizing both delayed justice and enduring hope for accountability. In our next story, Kenya has been gripped by shock and anger following the killing of prominent lawyer Mathew Mbobu, who was fatally shot in a drive-by attack on a busy Nairobi street. Witnesses reported hearing multiple gunshots as assailants on a motorcycle opened fire near the Langata Magadi Road junction, close to a bustling shopping center in Karen Estate. The respected legal scholar, law lecturer, and former chair of the political party's dispute tribunal was targeted while driving home. The Law Society of Kenya condemned the killing as abhorrent and predetermined, expressing concern over growing threats to lawyers. Senate Speaker Amason Kingi called it cold-blooded killing, urging swift investigations. A gruesome video circulating online shows Mbobu slumped lifeless over the steering wheel. His death mirrors the April assassinations of MP Charles Ongondo Were, also killed in a targeted shooting. Police have launched a manhunt for the perpetrators amid fears of rising politically linked violence. Mbobu's influential writings, mentorship, and legal contributions have left Kenya mourning a distinguished advocate whose legacy resonates across the judiciary. In our next story, authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo have imposed movement restrictions in Ebola-affected areas of Kasai province, where checkpoints and confinement zones have been established as cases steadily rise. The health ministry declared the nation's first Ebola outbreak in 3 years, reporting 28 suspected cases and 15 deaths initially. New figures indicate 32 suspected cases, 20 confirmed, and 16 deaths, while some local administrators claim numbers could be higher. Bulape and outbreak's epicenter has been sealed off amid fears infections could spread to nearby communities. Aid groups warn response efforts are underfunded, with reduced foreign assistance following the dismantling of USAID's Ebola operations under former US policies. The World Health Organization has deployed treatments and plans to deliver 2,000 doses of the Arrie Hougaard vaccine for health workers and contacts. Save the Children cautioned that cuts in donor funding are already slowing containment efforts, with residents fleeing into surrounding forests to avoid quarantine. Officials fear the crisis could deepen without urgent international support to bolster Congo's strained healthcare response. In our last top story, in Johannesburg, the Cairo School of Inquiry is pioneering a nutrition-driven approach to combat South Africa's worsening childhood obesity crisis by enforcing a healthy, mostly vegetarian meal policy. At lunchtime, children queue eagerly for freshly prepared dishes like kichari, salads, and halloumi, part of a program designed to counter alarming global trends where overweight children now outnumber underweight children. According to the UN, overweight and obese teenagers have nearly tripled worldwide over 2 decades, with children aged 5 to 9 rising from 69 million to 147 million. South Africa ranks among the worst affected nations, where studies reveal nearly 80% of baby foods are sugar-rich, compounded by aggressive marketing and unhealthy products. Cairo's head teacher Mark Loon says the policy teaches students to be thoughtful and conscious about their diets, urging other schools to adopt similar strategies. Parents have been instructed to pack whole food lunches to reinforce the school's mission. Advocates believe widespread adoption could improve children's long-term health and reduce early exposure to ultra-processed, high-sugar foods, fueling the obesity epidemic. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll swing over to Arrie Hougaard as he delivers more stories from South Africa, this time in the South Africa Report. But prior to that, it's the weather. All right, it's time for Arrie Hougaard to join us as he delivers the news from South Africa, starting with the South African economy growing by 0.8% in the second quarter. Walmart, the world's largest retailer, plans to open its first store in South Africa before year end, and the Department of Home Affairs continuing to struggle with high numbers of illegal immigrants. Take it away, Arrie.
Yes, a very good morning from Cape Town, and firstly in current news in South Africa at the moment, it's linked to the economy. So the economy grew in South Africa in the second quarter by 0.8%. That is good news for the South African economy. That is good news because in the first quarter the growth was only 0.1%. So it looks a little bit better for South Africa. The components that did best for South Africa responsible for this growth is firstly the mining industry. So it's mostly the mining industry that did better by 3.7%, and so that's a big increase in that, mostly because of a bigger output in gold and platinum. And also one industry that did really well is also agriculture. That expanded also by 2.5%. And there's also better seasonal expectations or projections for the next season, for the 2025-2026 season in South Africa. So hopefully that will also assist the economy in a big way. Then manufacturing is also up 1.8%, but there's a few industries that battled, that went down. One of them is the construction industry. They're down 0.3%, and then also it is exports that is down by 3.2%. That's a bit concerning. Maybe the tariffs linked to the United States kicking in as well, specifically in the motor vehicle. That is down this quarter, and also vegetable exports, that is also down. So that is at the moment what's happening related to the economy in South Africa. Then if we go on to more news about Walmart, and Walmart is an American company that's quite big. It's the biggest retail company in the world at the moment, and they've announced that they will, under the Walmart name, open new stores in South Africa. That is before the end of the year. So they currently under the Massmart name, but that will change to Walmart. So Massmart represented brands like Game and also Makro and also Builders Warehouse. And so at the moment, Walmart is a massive retailer worldwide. So they have 11,000 outlets, that is worldwide, in 19 countries. They have a massive sales, annual sales, and that adds up to $700 billion annually. So they will be in South Africa. With Walmart coming to South Africa, there will potentially be a bit of a war on the prices, or a price war that could happen, and that is because ShopRite and Pick n Pay and Spar are well established in South Africa. So we'll see how that happens. So that is Walmart opening stores in South Africa. That is happening soon. Also happening in South Africa under current news is deportation news, and it's the cost about that was announced. That was by Minister Leon Schreiber, the Minister of Home Affairs. He announced that for the past 3 years, South Africa have paid 180 million over the past 3 years just to deport people from South Africa back to their countries. So there's a big challenge in that in South Africa at the moment. The numbers are quite high. 3 years ago, it was 22,000 that was deported. Then it went up to 39,000 the year after that. And last year, there were 51,650 people deported from South Africa. So it is a big cost component for South Africa. Obviously, the border control is also a challenge in South Africa. And people find a way easily, especially on the Mozambique and Zimbabwe borders, to come across to South Africa, avoiding the immigration officers to do that. At the moment, it's speculated reports show that there can be as much as 3.9 million foreign-born undocumented people in South Africa. So that's a huge number. So that is a big cost for South Africa. So that is current news currently in South Africa.
All right, Arrie, we move over to your sport, where the South African women's rugby team plays in the World Cup quarterfinals in England on Saturday, while the Springboks face the All Blacks in New Zealand. And in football, it's the MTN 8 final, and the Proteas meet England in a T20 series. That's, of course, cricket.
Yes, currently in sport news in South Africa, exciting sport. Rugby is a big component at the moment. There's also cricket. I can talk about rugby because there's big games coming up on the weekend, especially women's rugby. It is the World Cup continuing in England. big game for South Africa. They qualified for the quarterfinals the first time in their history, so it was tough to qualify. They did have good games in their round-robin games against Brazil and also against Italy. But they won both games. They lost against France, but they qualified for the quarterfinals. That will be played on Saturday. That is at Exeter in England, and South Africa have a tough assignment. They play against the world champions and world number one, that is New Zealand, the Black Ferns. So that kickoff time then again is 2 p.m. Namibian time on Saturday. So other teams that's also in the quarterfinals is France, that will play against Ireland, then also Canada, that will play against Australia, and the host England, they will play against Scotland. So that is the Women's World Cup continuing in England. Then also the Springboks of the South African rugby team, they in action again on Saturday. That's the men's team. So it is an interesting Saturday. The South Africa against New Zealand, the men and women play each other on the same day. So it is the Springboks that play at the 9:05, that is Namibian time. They will play against the All Blacks. That's the second test they play. The first one that was played the past weekend was in Auckland, and New Zealand won that game by 24 points to 17. So it was a good start for New Zealand. That is all in the Rugby Championship, and the Rugby Championship continues then in Wellington. It's a place where South Africa have won in previous times, so hopefully it will be all good for South Africa when they play the second game. They've got a new team, lots of new players, lots of experienced players that was dropped for this game, and we will see if Rassie Erasmus got it right. So the Springboks play the All Blacks 9 a.m, 9:05 to be precise, on Saturday morning in Wellington. Then also it's the MTN8 Super Final, or the final of the soccer final that is played in Mbombela, and it's two big teams, Orlando Pirates, that will play against Stellenbosch United. The same teams played in the final last year in Durban, and it was Orlando Pirates that won that game by 1-0. Orlando Pirates have won this tournament, the MTN8. They've won it 13 times already, and it is Stellenbosch United. They have not won it at all. They've played in the final last year, so hopefully for them they will do better this time in the final. So then again, it is played in Mbombela. It's a neutral field for both of them. Then also on the cricket field, it is the men's team, the South African Proteas, that play a series in England. They just completed a 50-over ODI series that South Africa actually won by 2-1. They didn't have a good third game. They lost there quite comprehensively, but they're trying to make it right now in the T20 format, 20 overs aside, of course. So the second of the 3 games will be played on Friday, and then the third and final one will be played at Trentbridge. So the South African men's team, they are doing well in the international series at the moment. They also won a 50-over ODI series against Australia recently, so hopefully they can win the series against England in England. So that is sport news at the moment in South Africa.
Certainly wishing all the South African teams all the best. Arrie, we end with some entertainment as popular South African entertainer Elvis Blue arrives in Windhoek today after a 13-day solo cycling tour from Stellenbosch, raising funds for underprivileged children in Namibia.
In entertainment news in South Africa, we talk music and cycling. It's a recording artist called Elvis Blue. He's doing amazing things on the bicycle. He's getting some money in for children to go to school. And he's been cycling from Stellenbosch all the way to Windhoek. And he will arrive in Windhoek today on Thursday the 11th. And he will be plus minus maybe around 2 o'clock. He hoped to arrive at the Grove Mall in Windhoek. So it's an amazing achievement by Elvis Blue. He's an amazing person. He's got great music. And now he cycled all the way from Stellenbosch to Windhoek. And they took him 13 days to do, and it's all to get the money in for children to be able to go to school. And he's doing it with assistance of the Atterbury Trust, and they've been supporting him well as well in that. So it took him 13 days, so hopefully all go well and he'll arrive today at the Grove Mall in Windhoek. On his way to Windhoek, he came all the way through Namakwaland and obviously all the way from the Noordoever all the way to Windhoek. Difficult to cycle that. He broke it up in 13 stages. But he went through Klein Willem as well, and I want to briefly talk about Klein Willem as a good destination also for tourists. Klein Willem is about 200 kilometers from Cape Town, and it offers a rooibos tea. So if you love rooibos tea, that is where most of the rooibos tea come from. There's also rock art in the region, and a big dam that was built in 1935, and it's the Olifants River that goes into the dam there, and lots of water sport there as well. So if you're close to that area, close to Klein Willem, do visit there. And also now, this time of the year, there's obviously lots of beautiful flowers as well. It's still part of just the southern part of Namaqualand. So it's a beautiful part of South Africa. And that was one of the towns that Elvis Blue went through on his cycle trip all the way from Stellenbosch. So again, a reminder, if you're close to the Grove Mall today, go and see if you can meet Elvis Blue and say to him, well done for cycling all the way from Stellenbosch and all the way to Windhoek. And remember that it's for a good cause. So if you want to support his cause, make sure that you go online and go to Atterbury Trust online, and you can see there how you can assist to donate money for children to be able to go to school in Namibia. So that is entertainment news all the way from South Africa.
In our economic news story, a new report from the Africa-Europe Foundation has urged African nations to negotiate green energy partnerships carefully, warning that one-sided agreements with Europe risk replicating past exploitative patterns. With Africa holding 40% of the world's untapped renewable energy potential, European industries are seeking cost-effective solutions to meet climate targets, particularly in green hydrogen, steel, and shipping fuel. While these partnerships present opportunities for investment, jobs, and local development, the report warns Africa could become merely a green fuel station for Europe if strategic safeguards are ignored. Countries like Morocco, Namibia, and Egypt are already developing renewable projects to meet domestic needs, showing the continent's capacity for leadership in clean energy. Recommendations include linking green projects to local priorities like fertilizer production, leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area for regional value addition, and ensuring fair technology transfer. The report stresses that Africa's industrial future must be co-developed to balance foreign interests with African development goals, avoiding extractive dynamics that have historically limited economic sovereignty. Let's have a look at the economic indicators before we return to say goodbye. DStv 2 at 5, GOtv 25, oneup2.com, Network Media Hub on YouTube, and NTV Africa on YouTube is where you can find us. Keep in mind, on oneup2.com, if you click the echo icon, you can access not just this episode, but all other NTV programs. So, oneup2.com, echo, where primetime is anytime. From me, Ashwin Bedi, and the Africa Good Morning crew, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we bring you the top headlines from broader Africa and the videos of the week stemming from Namibia and beyond. Swera Jaganaka.